All right, I tried to smash all these adjustable dumbbells that I have amassed over this last year or so and want to give you guys my honest take and update which one of these I think is the best adjustable dumbbell of 2025. There are, of course, a lot of adjustable dumbbells out there, but I'd say based on popularity, function, and weight capability, all of these are going at least up to 100 pounds and over. I think most people would agree that based on these metrics, you're really kind of narrowing it down to, I would say, the big four brands in adjustable dumbbells. You have PowerBlock, classic, big favorite over there. You got the Ironmaster adjustable dumbbells, also a classic, heavyweight capability. The new kid in the block, these Pepin adjustable dumbbells, and these NÜOBELLs, and I'd say these are the new ones that go up to 100 pounds and over, which is why this one made the cut. But of course, NÜOBELL is also very popular. Change adjustable dumbbell that arguably changed the market for the better as well. I've reviewed all of these and have various videos on these different types of dumbbells. I will link them down below in the description box if you guys are curious, want more of a backstory. But because I'm constantly asked, what is the best dumbbell? Which one do you like the best? Do you have any updated thoughts? That's why I wanted to go ahead and make this video. And full disclosure, because I still think that is a very important thing to consider, I did pay for all of these adjustable dumbbells. The only thing I did get for free was this Rep Fitness cart. So I will be laying it out here, guys. This is just one man's opinion. Please drop your comments down below what you think is the best adjustable dumbbell. If you want to support me in the channel and pick up any one of these products, I will drop a link down below in the description box. All right, first talking about the classic here, and that is the PowerBlock. Now these are the commercial 175s. This is overkill for most people. I do think there's some unique things you can do with heavy dumbbells, and this will get to a point later on, is that while there's some things you can do, at the end of the day is like how much this are you actually gonna do and how much these capabilities and benefits are really gonna matter to you the most. So I realize most people are not considering picking these up. I only did that review because I really wanted to see it for myself and no one else did it, so I wanted to go ahead and try that. Most people might consider the Elite 100s because, again, part of the criteria of this video, again, was the big four, and that's a heavy metal reference, if you guys know what I'm talking about there, of adjustable dumbbells. So I'm not really considering ones in that lower spectrum, and I'll touch on those a little bit. But with power blocks, I just feel like now they're kind of dated for most people's uses and how people would like them. There are, of course, benefits that I've maybe addressed in previous videos, that one of which mean they're so compact and portable. So I got these in my youth, like in my early 20s, going back to like 2005, 2010, somewhere around there. I bought these because I was personal training clients out of a hatchback of my car. I'd go to people's houses, they did not have adjustable dumbbells. I would pack my power blocks. The beauty was I could grab a stack, put it in my car, bring it in their house with a pop-up bench, and you had adjustable dumbbells. So very portable. And at the time, I honestly only got those because I think that was all I really knew of. But of course, they have their great core, and I think it's good for what it is. As I've said many times, straight pressing, straight pulling exercises, so rows, presses. Arguably, the foundations are there. And I do actually like the bigger block compared to the smaller one. I said that in my initial review of these, but not to get too long-winded and repeat myself, I just feel that for what they are, there are much better options out there for most people, especially if you're considering the Elite 100s, which are going up to, I think they're $1,200. And if you look at PowerBlock, this is, I guess, one of the benefits of them. Depending on where your market is or where you're located, they're almost kind of giving away old PowerBlocks. You can get these really dirt cheap if you really wanted to. Now, while they are kind of battle tested and there's not a whole lot of moving parts, the pins do notoriously break. So just talking specifically about these and some of the variations, the newer ones that have these, I talked to someone who had a commercial facility, and while these will probably last you forever, if you damage this pin, the person I was told was that these things are constantly getting replaced, people constantly damage them and ding them. Yes, you can replace these, but even my Elite 90s, again, you could replace them, but they fell wrong one time, and that pin was always kind of dinged in, and I had to keep kind of like fighting in every single time I wanted to use it. If you are a big boy and you like slinging heavy weights and you want to sling the weights fast, these might be an option, but I think for most people, this is not going to be really worth the value. And even for the lower weight increments, I think there's better things you guys could consider. All right, now for the other fan favorite here, the Ironmaster adjustable dumbbells, and I paid for pretty much everything you could buy Ironmaster related with the dumbbells, from all the handles, the heavy handle kit, which I keep saying is a must buy. If it did not have the heavy handle kit, this thing would feel a little more awkward in my hand. That's my own personal opinion about it. And if you're wondering why I'm not covering some of the other knockoffs or the other things that are giving Ironmaster a run for their money, such as Eisenlinks or AOCs, I've done some reviews on those. The main reason would be just they haven't really stood the test of time, and I'm finding people are really concerned about them sliding out and possibly hitting you in the way they're kind of designed. Arguably, I think these are a better manufacturing process, and from what I heard from them, that's one of their big claims to fame is how they are manufactured. with their tight tolerance. So that is the reason I just didn't include them. Of course, great dumbbells, share your comments down below. But if you were to get, say, a base 75 kit with the heavy handle kit and something that goes up to around 120 pounds to maybe put it equal to the rep Pepins here, or like a little more of a higher moderate weight, you're looking roughly, and I got some notes here, something around the ballpark of around $1,259, give or take, which isn't horrible. But the other thing you're really sacrificing, and while it's comparable to the weight, say rep Pepins, we'll get to in a second, I do think, however, that for some people, if you were doing a workout that required up and down jumps in weight, or you want to superset a little bit, and just for overall convenience and comfort of just changing and adjusting weights, if you had these sitting next to you, I do think most people would be gravitating towards this and possibly a NÜOBELL versus the Ironmasters. I think these are great for what they are, and you kind of know what you're getting when you're getting into it, but the creature comforts just might not be there for the payoff of what you might be using this for. The payoff in the sense that these things will last you a long time. You're probably likely never going to break. That is great, no question. But the sacrifice is that you got to deal with stuff like this. The weights, you definitely need some sort of a storage cart. I paid for this storage cart, a good storage cart in its own right, not the craziest design. But the point is just a little bit more of a slower process, and maybe some might argue a kind of archaic design. Still great, don't get me wrong. I made a whole video about why I think this might be one of the best companies in the home gym space, but for adjustable dumbbells, I could see people moving on to this next one right here we're gonna get into. And that is the Rep Pepin adjustable dumbbells. That had a lot of hype behind it. The question is it worth the hype? Now, if you guys do not know, I did a pre-order for this. I was excited. Then I canceled my pre-order based on some things and reports that I was hearing, only to go ahead and buy it again with a much higher price. I think it was roughly like $1,700. It has gone back down in price for the 125-pound kit, which I think is around roughly, I got notes here again, $14.99 right now. So I think that's pretty good, and I'd say fairly competitive for what you are getting with the technology and the weights and all that stuff considered. My thoughts on these have changed a lot in the whole grand scheme of things. Overall, I do like them a lot. If you guys are watching the videos, I give all these options. There's a reason why these are sitting conveniently inside this rack right here as my go-to adjustable dumbbell. I've touched on some of the shortcomings, and there's actually been an update with, they sent it out to everybody who bought a pair. I actually did not have one of the faulty ones. Apparently there's a faulty issue with this pull pin for these adder weights, these 2.5-pound plates, and this was an annoyance that people didn't like. And of course, it's not good, but didn't bother me that much. I just kind of push it down, or I would just deal with it. Point is, they actually made a new pull pin. They're sending these out to everybody, and I'm assuming they're going to put them on all the newer models for these adder weights. So that is cool of them to go ahead and do that. Aside from that, people didn't like these pop pins as much. They say they would kind of get in your way, and I said I noticed that too. But as I said in a couple updates and comments, it's usually around like the 50, 60 mark is when my knuckle would kind of hit it. It's just one of those things, a learning curve. I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but it's really a non-issue for me at this point. I rarely find myself hitting it. If I know it's in that middle section, I guess I'm kind of mindful of it, but it's really not an issue that really bothers me. All things considered, I actually enjoy it. The other issue that people brought up was just having the rails. Now, you can actually use these for a few things, but what I have found, and I said this in my first video, this was a problem where this can kind of get in the way. The big issue to kind of get around that is to just dial them down like this, and you got a lot of clearance to doing a lot of things around your thighs. So a lot of times you actually watch me do things like presses and even flies. I will actually, even curls, I'll purposely kind of hold it like this. For whatever reason, I just kind of like having myself kind of locked in like this. I could go like this for a lot of things, but for some reason I find myself doing that a lot. And that goes with the overall balance. I actually prefer the balance in my hand for some reason over the Ironmasters. I don't really know why, because it's not as pronounced. There's definitely an imbalance with these. I will talk about that with these. For sure, an imbalance with the PowerBlocks when you're doing things like an arc, like a curl, or things of that nature. But pressing or whatever, I usually will kind of fling it down, or I'll kind of hold it neutral. And then talking about holding it, I just love this grip. I used to say I like a thicker grip. I think the knurling just feels the best of all of this, and I just like the kind of the thicker diameter. All that to say, I really don't have any problems with this. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up, is I addressed this in one of my reviews, and people said the same thing, and issues about like the weights kind of getting stuck. Same thing, it doesn't happen at all anymore. The issue really to fix it is just you bolt in these sides here, And if there's any kind of, if it's too tight or too loose, you just kind of adjust it accordingly and just tighten it in to where it's supposed to be. And you shouldn't really have any issues with the weights getting stuck or forcing the weights in. It should go in and out, you know, pretty easily. So all I have to say, I really have zero issues with it. Of the little quirks that are there, in my opinion, they're minor compared to the advantages of having quick change adjustable dumbbells. They feel good in your hand, they have a great balance, and of course they go, I would say, to the highest functional weight that most people are gonna use, which is maybe 125. Yes, I'm not able to do my heavy cleans and heavy single deadlifts like I can do with my heavy power blocks, but when you consider how fast they are and the things that I am using them the most likely for, they feel better than, you know, the benefits I would get out of doing some heavy singles with those exercises over there. All I have to say, great dumbbell. Stay tuned at the end to see if these are actually my favorites. All right, now moving on to the NÜOBELL, the new NÜOBELLs, the S5100s. What makes them new and different from their older ones is that still quick change in 5-pound increments, but they are iron, and there are still some plastic components on the inside, so that's still kind of a downfall. But they go up to 100 pounds, which is how they kind of made the Big 4 criteria here in this mix-up. I will just say, while they are great and they are quick change, I know some people are still gonna love that, and that might be one of the reasons why you buy this over something else, especially if you want maybe 20 pounds more than their 80-pound version. I think these are going for $1,100, maybe $1,140, something like that. Still somewhat, you know, decent price for what they are. I'll just say I really don't like them. I think they're not a bad dumbbell. I could see the case if you had these and you might like them because of this. You want something that's 100 pounds. That's a good, reliable, good brand. They're made out of iron. Yes, I wouldn't say you should throw these in the ground. I was gonna review the other ones, by the way. I just didn't because I felt like there wasn't a need to. I think they're good. Enough people did enough reviews. I think the Glux Gym did a good job showing the way they can kind of break apart in pieces and stuff like that. So I just don't like a number of things. One, primarily, is just the way this stuff feels in your hand. It just does not feel good in my hand. Any of these ones that have a core where they kind of pull out like this, there's always this imbalance issue where you can, for me at least, it would bother me. I think the benefits outweigh, sorry, the cons outweigh the benefits of these and the quick change, that they just don't feel good in my hand. Every time I try and give this thing a second chance and use them, I want to put them away. I would rather buy a whole fixed set of dumbbells than use these and have to stick with them. That's my personal opinion. So as much as it goes to show you that I do like quick change, but if it's quick change and it feels a little weird for me, I prefer not to use them. So things like pushing, pulling, you got to make sure they're kind of, if they're angled down, they're fine. So if I pick this up, it feels fine if I'm going to do a row here, but if I pick this thing up and want to hold it in my hand like this, I just feel this lateral pull as it wants to rotate a little bit in my hand. As you can see now, it kind of goes face up. I just don't like that. I also don't like these weights kind of hanging around. I don't know why. That's just something else I don't really like seeing. Not a big deal, but you got to kind of mindfully watch it to reset it. So I do think it's a step above to what it was as far as less likely to break. As I've said before, I never feel the need to like take dumbbells and chuck them on the ground, but there are times where I do a set and I might drop it half a foot or a foot off the ground, and I hate to invest in something that is that sensitive. So it does have some plastic components, like I said, on the inside. So as a whole, I don't think it's a bad purchase if this is something that might, you know, do it for you. I just think for me, it's definitely something that I personally wouldn't adopt as my adjustable dumbbell of choice. With all that being said, of all these dumbbells, which one do I think is the best in the various versions and iterations? And I just think the overall best purchase for most people, being an adjustable dumbbell, reliability, quick change, all that stuff, and even the price point, functionality, etc. It would be the Pepin adjustable dumbbells. And I say that in the sense that I know there's a lot of hype behind these products. Like I said, I did pay for these. They did give me the cart for review if I did not mention that. Rep is notorious for giving out a lot of free products for reviews, and you see a lot of small stuff that's kind of pushed out there. But I can tell you, I don't think I made any sale on these whatsoever. It could be from just cookies, because that's a thing. You know, if you watch a lot of reviews, and if you do want to hit that link for mine, I might not be seeing the cut of that. Not complaining, I'm just saying in the sense that I don't really have like a financial incentive to really push this one. Of all these dumbbells, actually, this one I make the least amount of money on. I think that's important to kind of put out there, because if I was watching this, I might assume that might play a factor in why you're pushing something. So this one, of all the things said, it's just the better dumbbell, to be honest with you guys, and that's what I want to do here in the channel, give you guys my honest opinions. Hopefully you guys like these types of videos. I'm sure I've kind of triggered some people. You guys might have a personal favorite in one versus another. Definitely let me know. This is just me just sharing my opinion because I get this question a lot. I will put those links down below. If you want to try help support me in the channel, you guys can, but I don't know how that works with the, again, the cookies and stuff like that. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video.